The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
WDC is now on your radio. Coming live from the Bay, yeah, that way. They talk sports all day, LA. Dropping knowledge, high school, college, trying to score play by play. NFL, NBA, NHL, that's right, you name it. They gon' bring it to you live. Talking sports and entertainment. From the famous and the, you name it. Cover all sports from the football field
to that basketball court. Hey, good evening. Welcome to Sports Collective TV. I'm your host and moderator. I'm Farhan, a.k.a. WDC. I want to thank you for listening in today. As always, we have a very spectacular, important show for you right here on Morris Media Live at 5 o'clock Pacific Time. Make sure if you want to check us out, go to www.morrismedialive.com to check us out. Also, the Instagram is at Sports Collective Media, same as the Facebook. If you check the social media, you know that we got some guests here. I want to acknowledge and thank the previous leagues that were here, Pac Rim, LABC League, the Inglewood Fellas, and also P4E for sponsoring and bringing their players here for last month. It was off the chain. To be continued as well, as we're going to bring it here for you in the month of May. Some of the social media pieces I put out there over the weekend, some things happened. The youth that was going to be here, Pops had to work, so he's going to reschedule. And at the last minute, the LABC guest had to reschedule as well for his son, doctor's appointment, stuff like that. So
you know what, though? It's got to be something when you post something about kids. Because we post all these grown folks dunking and going between the legs and doing that. That little kid is hard.
Oh, you seen that?
We posted him, man. Our whole numbers just went like bananas. Something about them kids. Something about them kids.
It's the youth, man. So we're going to make it work for you today as well. If you've been following us, the OVN Classic, Dwayne is here. We're definitely going to talk about that as well. So just stick around. If you got to take a break, make sure you take us with you on your cell phone and listen and follow along. You want to introduce something?
Yeah, I mean, interesting story. I mean, you know, the community has been in a disarray, as you would say. And, you know, and this is sponsored by AskIlya.com, and we basically, you know, always try to keep a footprint in the community and what's kind of going on in the community. And, of course, it's the old versus new basketball mentoring program, which is, you know, OVN, right? The OVN Classic. So we've talked about the leagues and the Pro-Am leagues, and we got the guys talking about their stories about chasing hoop dreams. But then there's another part, you know, of African-American men culture in here and sports, which is basically, you know, and I'm going to pass it over to Dwayne, but, you know, another opportunity, right?
Yes.
So kind of tell a little more of that.
All right. So first and foremost, my name is Dwayne Dixon. I'm a volunteer over at the Fair Chance Project. We serve liberated lifers and anybody else system impacted. Adults, youth, women, don't matter. And so what we're asking your support for is to support the OVN Classic. This is old school versus new school. It's a basketball as well as a mentoring program. That's why we say it's classical, because our approach is to bridge the gap between the two generations. As you know, the OVN Classics is sponsored by, we have a partnership of a group of individuals. Of course, Sports Collective. You got the LA Sparks. Okay.
So you got a LA Sparks event that's coming up on May 31st, and really just kind of get into the glues of it is basically, you know, giving, you know, the guys that's coming out of the penitentiary system, or I don't know, that might be the inappropriate word, but prison system, you know, another opportunity through sports. You know, a lot of these guys play while they were probably locked down. Correct. You know, kept themselves kind of, you know, healthy enough to kind of play in these tournaments, and also looking for opportunities that they could probably play overseas or things like that as well, right?
Exactly. Because liberated lifers, what I call liberated and rehabilitated lifers, and those that at-risk youth, the mentoring program is to help the young people understand that incarceration is very real, and we want to help them avoid that wrong path. You know, the youth come from underserved communities and are in highest risk of ending up in prison. And so what we're trying to do is like all these little pitfalls that might occur with the old school teaching the new school, the process that they had to go through to be found suitable by the Board of Prison Term after serving 36 years. The oldest life I'm dealing with now did 45 years straight. Transformed his way of thinking, his associates, and he got found suitable by parole because he had transformed his way of thinking. He accumulated so many laudatory crimes in the C file. I mean, his crime was this big. His laudatory side, the positive things he did in prison, without catching disciplinary cases and all that, was this thick. Yeah. So it overshadowed that little crime. You
know, and we talked in the studio about this. It's like, it's really understanding the need assessment. So if you had to say, you know, the top 3 things that they need, we all know they need clothes and housing and a job and all that. But the reality is, what is the inner need? What is the real need? And what is this program going to be able to do to kind of capture that?
They say if you knew better, you do better. So what this program captures is, first, a gap in the communication lines between the youth, new school, the youth between 16 and 24, and then the old school, which is the elders now coming home from prison, who were incarcerated for, you know, hot ones, right? But not necessarily incarcerated for a murder. They might have been associate of a gunner. Right. You know what I mean? They might have an ineffective sense of counsel. Okay, after they murdered the Panther Party, right? It was so many Bloods and Crips developing in every neighborhood. The police know they couldn't assassinate as many Bloods and Crips they was out at that time. So what they do, they kick in the 13th Amendment law, that bill that says you cannot incarcerate or subject a person to servitude and slavery except for punishment of a crime. So they use that.
All right, so we're going to stop right there.
Take a break with that one.
And, you know, we also, like I said, you know, this is a really, you know, our shows are so organic. You know, I know you got a story to tell and got some famous player you like, so we're going to get into that. But I'm going to let Farron introduce you.
Yeah, no, so again, this is part of the segment here is the Chasing Hoop Dreams. Again, this is a near and dear subject to myself and a Cali sportsman who kind of birthed this conversation about the AAU programs and just getting the youth to college, right? But then my piece is I want that backstory, like what was that relationship to basketball? Like, where'd you grow up and how did you fall in love with this game? But then what happened? Like, okay, so you played in high school, whatever. If you make it to the pros, like, where were you, you know, chasing as that youngster, as that youth? So Antonio is here to share his Chasing Hoop Dream story. So we're going to get right into it. Introduce yourself, man, and we'll kind of get this conversation. Then this is brought to you by the P4E.
Hi, I'm Antonio Bigelow. Actually, I'm a Crenshaw District kid.
Oh, okay. So you're right here.
Yeah, not right here. Actually, I'm kind of more down.
Okay.
On Crenshaw and Slauson side.
Cool deal. Cool.
Right
okay.
Yeah, that's where I lived at my whole life. And
okay.
All right. So let's talk about what was, you know, Crenshaw like for you. I know what the news and the media portrays it to be, but for you, what was it from the inside out?
To some people in the news, it might be hell. To me, it was heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a safe place for me. I have all my family over there. You know, of course, I had the negative and the positive side of stuff. You know, a couple of my close friends went to the negative side. I stayed with the positive side, but still kept the friendship. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, like how it's crazy he talking about dudes that did crimes. Like I got best friends that's serving 25 right now. You know what I mean? And I got some that's making 7 figures right now. So it's just, you know, I got the balance of both. Growing up, so growing up over there it was good for me. Okay, so what is your basketball experience? When did that start? When I was 5, I think my dad took me to a park. I started playing basketball at 5.
Here we go again. All right, go ahead.
I started playing at 5. I mean, what you want me to do?
Nah, I got jokes. I was 2. You
go to Van Ness Park.
Hey, we all had the Nerf basketball hoop, yo. So tell them, we all had the Nerf basketball. So
I got a championship at 5.
So we got championships at 5. Damn, I ain't mad. Let me shake your hand. Let me shake your hand.
Van Ness Park.
I got my name at Van Ness Park.
I'm striking through there tonight.
Yeah, go ahead, go up there.
Get my flashlight.
So 5 years old. I mean, no. See, and what talking about youth and understanding. People don't understand that the brain of a 5-year-old is so powerful. Yeah. And we in the past oh well, he's 5. Don't pay no attention. He don't know what he's listening. He don't know what he's talking about. He don't know what's going on.
It's crazy when you say like that. It's like I have a 2-year-old. So to know that she knows the code to my phone at 2. At 2, I wasn't even thinking about picking up a phone. So like, how it's crazy how the youth are developing so fast now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So at 5, like, you know, that's a decent age to catch on to stuff. And,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
stuff, but it's different now.
So 5, what was going on at 5? You playing basketball?
I
mean,
was playing multiple sports: basketball, football, soccer. Those are the main 3 sports I played growing up, and then I fell in love with the basketball though. Like,
But you know what? I always want to ask this piece because we get a lot of players that talk about they grew up and they play soccer. How was soccer significant into what you do now? Because I know it's a running sport.
It actually is good for your footwork, conditioning. Basically, you know, you can play a whole soccer game. You can play basketball all day. You know, and I ended up playing soccer a little bit in college too when I got her because I was used to playing it from when I was a kid, but I had to pick one. I couldn't play both.
So was it like some sort of scholarship program from high school?
No, I had signed my degree, signed my scholarship. I went to Montana State University.
Okay.
So I was playing soccer there and basketball, but I went for basketball. But the seasons collide. So
See, y'all going too far ahead of the story. See,
oh yeah, my coach.
We go back.
It's just too far. No, but so as that youth, you played multiple sports.
Yeah.
When did you pick basketball? I mean, what was that?
When I really locked in with basketball,
Yeah.
8 years old.
8.
Yeah, I started at 5, but 8 I really locked in with it because I liked it so much. You know, I watched a lot of basketball players growing up, and my dad played it every day, all the time, and I used to go with him to the park to play and all that stuff. So like at 8 years old, I really just fell in love with it and locked in with that. I cut football and soccer out.
Okay. Now, you mentioned playing in the neighborhood. I know when I grew up playing, we played football in the streets and sideline pop. Did you guys play it?
Yeah.
All that
played.
stuff?
Actually, you know, I went to 59th Street Elementary, and then there's Hyde Park, so that's like a rivalry elementary. We'll go to each other's schools and play each other outside. It's outside, you know, it's outside courts.
Yeah.
So that was like what we did, and we played in the neighborhood too amongst my friends, but, you know, everybody can't come in certain neighborhoods. So it's like...
What side of Arlington you live on?
That red
Back
line,
then.
man. That red line.
Okay, so going from that age, what were you looking to play? High school basketball, or were you just all parks and recreation?
Yeah, I mean, from 8 years old, I played park recreation, AAU basketball. I started playing that at 11. So then that's when I started traveling the world, going to like Florida playing.
So what squad was you playing with? Compton Magic or
No, in high school,
no, for your AAU?
I played with Hoop Masters.
Oh, Hoop Masters.
Yeah, SCA.
Okay.
Yeah, I do Compton Magic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know they one of the bigger leagues
No, yeah,
too that do
yeah,
a
they
lot
are.
of travel.
They got a like that's a real good, like a real good team. To
and
play
that's my
for.
boy E-Top. Shout out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So what was that mental transition for you, going from now traveling to AAU and now?
Like when I started traveling to AAU, that's when I started seeing the politics side of basketball. Like,
there we go.
It could be a kid that's not as good as you, but he has the pedestal. You know what I mean? So then, right then and there, coming from where I'm from, it's like you see somebody at the top, you're supposed to knock it off. You know what I mean? So therefore, anytime I came across a top player or this kid supposed to be that, I just always try to just match myself up with them to see how far I can get or where I'm at in basketball.
See, he was at that era of AAU's basketball where the competition was based on how I could stack a team to win a chip. Not how great I developed the players, but how can I stack a team and go to a different state and win a chip. So you was really in a time, I think, was that 2007, 2008?
I graduated 2009, so my era was John Wall, Brandon Knight that played in the NBA right now, Derek Williams.
So that was 2009 to 2012.
No, I graduated in 09. You mean like high school range?
No, I'm just looking at that era. You was in AAU.
Oh yeah. No, so it was basically 05 to 09.
Okay. Well then, I was 07. Yeah. So that's when it was kind of way getting crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, growing up in Crenshaw, I mean, we know, like I said, what the TV and media portrays. What do you equate your mental toughness? You got your parents. What was that relationship like growing up?
My relationship was good. I had both of my parents around. So I had my mom and my dad. And my mom is from the east side, and my dad is from over here. So it was like I had both, and you can see how they both was raised different to raise one. You know what I mean? So my mental part was good. I got all my mental and everything from my dad, but more like my spiritual side from my mom. She's like the more uplifting one out of both of them. So,
how does that equate to you now with your child?
Good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I never would have thought I would have had a kid, but I ended up having one anyway. You know what I mean? And I see like what my parents seen in me, how much you could love a child. You know what I mean? So that was big for me, having both of my parents and learning how to raise a kid and do whatever it takes for your kid. So that's basically what I'm doing right now for my kid. You know, when I'm home, if I'm not going playing basketball.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's interesting though, because you say, I didn't plan on having a kid, but now I have a kid. So it's all about this development and relationships that we create. With like the girl that you want to be with, that you do really want to have a kid with, that you do want to have family. And the only reason I'm saying that, because we just had a young man that was on earlier, and he was like, in high school, and he married the girl. He kind of, and it's something foreign for most of us, because it's like, high school, I ain't trying to get married to nobody. He wanted a family, but that was something that was in his past that was lacking. And then you bring on to a story to where it talks about, okay, well, I had two loving parents. Now I'm learning how to love my own kid. And we was having that conversation in the studio about trying to find love and how that nurturing piece goes. So all these stories would be interesting, man. It's just all you kids are trying to get to the next level.
Because there's so much life. Again, we talk about there's so much life in sports. They're connected, right? So it's like you can't separate. It's still you, whether you're playing basketball or with your family. What happened in high school? Did you play high school
blew
ball?
up, right? Yeah. You blew up, right?
So high school, I did 2 years at Fremont.
Okay.
Wait a minute, he already got his plaque down at the rec.
at 5.
I thought he'd blow up by the time he get to high school. What happened?
I went to Fremont, chose the wrong school for the first time.
Okay, this when we get to the heart of the story. Okay,
no, it's not the heart of the story. It's called the grind.
Yeah, that's what the grind. That's what we at.
I did 2 years at Fremont, which was cool. My freshman year, I did good for varsity to play on varsity. My sophomore year, I did very good, but then we ended up getting disqualified because we had some illegal players on our team.
Age? Wow.
No, they were just from New York.
Oh,
but
out of district.
We was in the number 2 team. We was 33-1.
Wow.
So it was like that was the year we was going to win the championship. So then we ended up getting disqualified for that whole season. So if I would have came back my junior year, we only would have played 17 games, and then that's it. No playoffs, no nothing. So I transferred. I mean, I wasn't the reason why we was disqualified. So
how did you go that way and not like Crenshaw or
my dad wouldn't let me.
He was like, no.
My dad played at Crenshaw, played football at Crenshaw. He was not letting me go to Crenshaw.
So my question is, by you leaving, was any of those other players just staying there and never going to play?
Actually, it was crazy. One of my best friends, I went there because of him. We both went there together. He stayed at the school for all 4 years. So his last 2 years, he didn't get to play in the playoffs.
Wow.
And I ended up playing against them. My junior year, I went to Sylmar in the Valley, and we ended up playing against Fremont. But their game didn't matter. So it was like, you know what I mean? It was just for
shits and
bragging. Yeah, we're just out here. Like, you know what I mean?
Can I interject for a second? Because we have partnered with, when you speak about youth and the talent that they have, I mean, the old school is strong, but I'm talking about the speed. They got shots, dribbles. Okay, now, so we partnered up with the Volunteers of America, as well as the Amity Foundation, Beacon House, United Communities, Fair Chance. I mean, it's a collaborative partnership of different organizations that's bringing something to the table, right? And each organization have something to offer, like a resource. And so it's not just about recreation. It's about mental well-being, physical well-being, spiritual well-being. That's Mexico classical. Resources, we set up resource tables and stuff like that because, like I said, if they knew better, they do better, right?
Yeah.
If they know these options are out there available, like Miguel Lupi and one of the guys that started the old school versus new school along with Tyrone Hardison, the 22-year lifer, Miguel right now is working in construction making good money. Tyrone Hardison, his mentor, is working at the railroad station making good money. So what we want to see is this youth develop, graduate from school, focus on careers, higher learning, and be more successful. Going how far they can push me up.
The life that you're hearing through his example, obviously, it relates to what you want to accomplish for the youth who are maybe not having the kind of resources that was in his experience.
Yes,
because
what he said kind of like it just struck a nerve.
I mean, and he came with infrastructure, so when he wanted to transfer to a school, he didn't just
how you get to Sylmar?
Man,
you and Crenshaw and Slauson. How you get to Sylmar?
Playing AAU, I played on the AAU team with one of the dudes who went to Sylmar.
Oh, okay.
And
it was a rap.
To the games, and he was just.
It was a rap
address.
Yeah, I moved out there.
Oh, okay. I was saying address.
For school. He moved for school.
I moved out there just for school.
So going through the process, AAU and now your high school basketball experience. Was you looking to go to college? Like what was the initial chase?
College was the main thing. Go to college. I have a lot of siblings, and none of them graduated from college. Went to college, so I wanted to be the first out of my parents' siblings to do that. Well, out of the kids to do that. So.
And did you get the letters?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I ended up choosing Montana State because I felt like it was more
away from
real.
LA?
And I was more real. I never had a problem being away from home. It was just more real of my recruiting. You know what I mean? I took the
Like
visit.
how they shared it with you?
Yeah, I took the visit to Oregon. I took the visit to school, but Montana State was more of a, they told me what was going on. Instead of saying, let's go here, let's come here, we're going to do this, do that for you. And then when you get there, that's not the...
Right.
I mean, these are examples of the college preparation program that we put together that explains that you get these visits, and this is how you coordinate the trip so that you putting your kid in a society and a culture and a community of that they have to feel comfortable in. Not, I want him to go to this school, and I want... a lot of parents are that way. So you speaking on that experience is what we really emphasize in our college preparation program. A lot of kids don't even know
they don't even know.
Kids
The parents
can get
don't
4
know.
visits to an NCAA.
Yeah.
Once you complete your NCAA.org, then you got 4 visits. Bus, train, however you're going to get there, but you need to get your kids to that school.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
What you mentioned about disqualifications, right?
Yeah.
So now, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to shout out to Mars Real Run. I'm going to shout out to Hoop Dreams. I'm shouting out to Basketball Beauties. We're taking on competitors like that, right? So now, what you said about disqualifications, when we started, we went to 3-on-3 Nike basketball tournament, right? The Nike 3-on-3. And the youth got the adrenaline was like pumping. They just wanted to stay on the court all day. So what happened was they start hopping teams. And now you're not registered to play on the team, but you're going to play anyway. And the team allowed us to get a forfeit because they recognized this guy was just on the other court. So this is what we're trying to teach the youth now, develop a structure to where you stick with the program.
Yeah.
Because you can win the game, but you still lose because you're going to get disqualified.
Definitely.
That's what I appreciate you saying that too.
So, what was the college experience? Did you...
Girls and beer, y'all.
Way over there. And where, Montana?
Yeah, I went to Montana State.
Okay, so what happened in Montana, man? Come on. Come on.
A lot of things.
What happened?
In Montana. I mean, the school, the people in Montana and Bozeman is wonderful. It's kind of like being home. They call it like Los Angeles. Don't ask me why. Because they don't have the weather we have.
Right.
As far as the city feeling, it's a city feeling. It's a college town. It's not like the Nebraskas and all that stuff. It's like really a college city town, and it's all love. It's love in there. They love you.
That is a good experience, traveling in when I was in college and just going to all the different schools and kind of getting a feel for, like a Georgetown versus a North Carolina versus a Cal State or a Stanford.
I know. So how'd it go down? How'd it go down?
I mean, it's a lot of things, like how he said, it's a feeling like you go to the schools where legends play there. Like we played at UTEP, Tim Hardaway played there. Right. So I was like, I want the same court Tim Hardaway played on. I played Oregon State, Gary Payton played there. Yeah. Actually, another one of my favorite point guards. So that was the interesting part about it. Going to go play against all these schools that was recruiting you, so you can see how the people you went on your visit with, if they went there, how they're playing now.
Right.
I mean, all the schools that I played that recruited me and went back, the dudes wasn't playing much. So I'm like, what happens? It wasn't what they said. So I'm happy I avoided that angle as far as part of the basketball.
I mean, that's the other politics when you're dealing with recruitment. You don't know if you're going to play. You're dealing with housing. You're dealing with scholarships. You're dealing with a lot of pieces, and that's why that parent is important. Or some sort of mentorship is really important.
That's why, now I tell younger dudes in high school and they get in all these schools. I say, how do you want to play? What do you think fits? What is your style of play? If they're going to get up and down, the schools that are recruiting you, go look at their past history of their points per game. If they're scoring anywhere between the 50s and 60s, they slowing the ball down. If they're in the high 70s and 80s, they playing like this. If that's how you want to play, that's how you should judge your recruitment off of, and past relationships that dudes have with the coach there. Like you could ask them, find one of them on Instagram. It's easy to find somebody on social media now and be like, hey, this school recruited me. How is Coach such and such on you?
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of coach is he? Find out they do background checks on you. Most kids don't do background checks on the coaches.
Right.
So you
they just look at the wins and losses.
Yeah, do the background check. And we don't know if Coach K is a cool person. We just know he wins. But there's people who went there. Clearly, he keep getting all these 5-star kids, so he must be something. You know what I mean? So that's why I tell a lot of kids now, do your background history the same way that they do their background history on you. The same thing.
So what happened after college? So
after college, I ended up having my kid. So I took a year off from that. Then I took another year off because I ended up getting hurt.
Okay.
And then I just bounced back. I just did I did a year in Canada just now.
So how did you deal with the mental toughness and that injury?
I mean, it was hard. I mean, but you know,
You sprain your thumb?
yeah, I did. But it was hard. But you know, I fought through it. Like
Yeah.
you know, any normal kid. Well, not any normal.
It's
kid.
tough.
Yeah,
though,
but
man.
I'm
It's
saying.
hard.
So
That's
I mean, give me an
tough.
example.
It's
Like
tough.
what
I've
kind
been
of
through that. Torn
what kind of mentality? I mean, you got to talk to yourself. You got to
I mean,
talk
nah,
yourself
it
down.
was a more.
It's the time.
It was a more the timing. It was
gotta
a more.
wait.
And the best thing about it is I had my daughter. So it's like I got somebody there smiling.
So you took that energy and gave it
took
to-
it to therapy
and
with me.
took it
I
positive.
did whatever. Yeah,
Gotta
so
get out to
I
it.
wasn't too down about it because
Okay.
that comes with the game, with the sport.
Right.
You know?
And I tell that to my son when he got injured. I like sport, injury. They go together.
Yeah,
And
all
there's
day.
no really, you can always fault somebody for hurting you or nothing, but you get out there and you lace them and you play, anything can happen.
Anything.
So I got a few more, and I'm gonna let you go because I know you got a game tonight. So how can I phrase this question? You mentioned that you went to where to go play? Canada. What was that
That was a good experience.
piece like?
It was a good experience because it was like my first professional, like gig. So it was a good experience to see like normally in college you get dudes from everywhere too, but now you got dudes from other countries. It's not just like other states. Now it's dudes from other countries. Like you can come across dudes who like they don't shower. That's just how it is.
Oh, yeah, that's
you know, where
military.
they're from.
Yeah, same,
like,
yeah,
they just don't
military
shower.
was the
Some dudes
same
don't
way.
use deodorant. Some don't. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see how you could
toothpaste.
get how you could like bond with somebody like from a different part of the world that you never even knew existed. So as far as the off the court part was good, the on the court part was even better. Like, you know what I mean? It was what I wanted to do. So I was happy with it.
We know, and especially here in the United States, and the TV portrays it the best, where most youth are looking, I got to go play in the NBA as far as that's professional. But you've experienced playing professional in another country. Just please let them know that there's more than one way to be a professional.
Oh yeah, it's like it's some dudes that right now that play overseas that make more money than NBA players. And they just
Hold up.
Thank
Don't
you.
send all these kids over there across the country somewhere, knowing that it's still only a percentage get to
Well,
go.
yeah, of course.
Okay, well, I just wanted to be clear with
I'm
that.
just-
You know,
It's a lot. So I know
It's still
I know
politics.
a lot of dudes who making a lot of more money than a dude sitting on the bench in the NBA. A lot. You know what I mean? They still have that same dream.
they getting taxed
in the
out the
NBA.
gate by the U.S. dollar, so that's
And then,
right
you
there.
know, when you play overseas, they pay for your taxes. So you seeing all your money. So
Depending on where you at.
yeah,
Depending on
But
where
there is an experience.
there's a good experience.
yeah. It's
So-
good. Yeah.
So what, when you hear chasing the hoop dreams, what does that mean to you?
When I hear somebody say it,
Well, no, to you. When I hear say chasing hoop dreams, what is that for you?
I'll just say continue to fight what your goal is. At one point in time, somebody gonna answer the door. You keep knocking on it. You know, it might not be the NBA door, but it could be the same door. If somebody offered me, I'll have 100,000 for you. That door just opened. That's the door you kept knocking at all the time. Or if you want to have like a legend in your city type feeling, or if you want to, when you come back home, everybody know what you just did, where you was just at, and it's a whole lot of like part of the dreams, part of the basketball that works so differently, unlike the football side. Like football players just NFL or that's it. The basketball side, we have a lot of other open gates we could go through with overseas. There's so many different leagues, divisions, different ways that you can still make money playing basketball. So the hoop dream for me, man, it was a lot. Like I had that dream of making it to the NBA, but you also sometimes got to be realistic. I'm your average point guard height. You know what I mean? I was special. I was fast. I could run a team. I could do everything, jump, but it's still the politics side we talked about too. Now, I went to the Montana State side. The Montana State, that's mid-major, like the Oregons and the Kentuckys and all those schools where it's the kids average 7 points and they getting drafted. You know what I mean? It's different where you average 16. Like, for example, I use for somebody is I played in the same conference as Damian Lillard. Weber State. We played. I watched him. The year I broke my foot, I watched him play. That was his last year before he got drafted.
Right, I remember that.
And my coach asked me, like, do you think he's an NBA player? And I was like, I haven't seen him play yet till now. From when I watched him walk on the court to how he carried himself to where he warmed up to how he played in the game and so like how he played now, composed, like nothing rattles him. I was like, he's a lottery pick. My coach was like, I don't think so. I was like, he's a lottery pick. Like, he's a lottery pick. I ain't seen this before.
Because he fit the system.
And he's a 6'3" built point guard.
He's a Brian Shaw. He fits the system.
So, lastly, this is brought to you by P4E, and you mentioned that your mom instilled that spirituality in you as a young guy. So, how is it playing in the P4E league?
It's wonderful. I joined playing in the P4E league 3 or 4 years ago. I played with Don, and I knew about like the spiritual and all that stuff, but like as far as like when it comes to basketball, you don't always pray. You pray within ourselves. Like before the game, we'll pray. Ask yourself, you do your prayer, whatever you taught, to do, or to mentally get yourself right to where you want to feel like spirits over you. In the P4E league, we pray before and after the game. And is even if you have a problem, some dudes have a problem sharing what's going on in their life. Like instead of, they ask in the huddle, like, anybody have a prayer request? Some dudes just be quiet. Like, not knowing, like, we're friends amongst each other.
Right.
We see it on your
Your
social
mama could
media.
be sick,
Like my mom's sick, pray for me. Like, why you want to say that now when we in this huddle with just these dudes we about to play against? And at the end of the day,
Still the ego.
at the end of the day, it's still all one. Yeah. Everybody's in here got problems. Some people just don't show it or don't say it. And playing in the P4E league, I met a lot of different new people. Being around Don, and I grew a good relationship with Don, and Al is like one of my close friends. Me and Al grew up playing basketball together. So I've been knowing him for all my life too, and he always been a spiritual dude. Like, even when I got hurt, he was the one sending me text messages every morning, waking up, good morning, brother, get ready for this, this obstacle in your life, gonna do this, but you're gonna push through it, I know you will. He always did that every single morning. Every morning, he didn't skip not one morning. And those are the dudes you grow relationships with, and you always hold a relationship and a bond with them. And then I got into it with the P4E. I started helping Don with other things, and a lot of dudes seen I was playing in the league, like good basketball players, so then they came and joined the league. So now the P4E is like one of the best adult leagues out right now, period. It's a lot of like good basketball players that play in the Drew League, play in all these other programs out here. They play in the P4E league now. So like Don has a good vibe, a group of going on with a lot of guys right now, and I appreciate him letting me in. And it's other dudes that say the same, but they just won't talk to him. I tell him like he's a dude that wants to help. The P4E league is real good.
Gotta let the egos down a little bit.
That's all it is.
Sport.
And then, so what's next?
I talked to my agency where I'm going next.
That was the question I had. Because, we had like the Mr. Internationals and the folks that just went overseas and no agent versus an agent, or the Leons. Smooth J, shout out to you, baby.
My dog.
You know what I'm saying? That have agents, you know what I'm saying? Is there, through what you've seen, is having an agent best than not having an agent?
No, because y'all had the dude who helps everybody in the city here already, Keon.
Yeah.
Now that's my trainer. That's who I work out with. Okay. So it's like, that's the dude that if you don't have an agent, you get with him. Get with him.
So, but that's my question is that
is it hard?
It's like going through. It's a process.
Definitely.
So, is having an agent more beneficial than not having an agent, or is it good to be independent or not independent? That's what I'm.
I feel like if you just about to start, you should have an agent. If you can't get one, then you should find somebody who has ties to a lot of dudes that played overseas or that help teams that have favors.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So if you just started and you can get an agent, I would say go with the agent to see what the agent can get you, and then have the dude on the side that can help you too. So you can see the balance of them. Like, all right, this guy getting me this for this much. This guy getting me this for this much. Like, it's like who really knows who at that time.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's a business. Right. So that's what it's mainly
Business
about.
and
This how he feed his family. This how I'm gonna feed my family. He's trying to help me. Like, that's the biggest thing with Keon. Keon helps a lot of people. Like, he helps out a lot. You know what I mean? Cool. It goes unnoticed because, he has a lot of the, like, top basketball players, but he really helps a lot of people. Like, every day he's in the gym, every day from 8:30 to 2:30 training people. Yeah. Every day. He never misses a day. Even if he's sick, he's still in there sitting there helping. Then you got your agent, and it's just like you call him, he probably don't answer because he probably got an NBA player he dealing with, and then it's like, oh, what's up with these deals? He's like, oh, I'm gonna get on it now. Compared to this dude who's sick in the gym with you every day, helping you right now. You know what I mean? So that's the pros and cons of having an agent and not. So it could go hand in hand on, it's good it is to have an agent, it's good it's not to have an agent. Yeah.
What do you want to say? Did we miss anything before we let you go? What do you want to say?
What's your handles, homie?
You got Instagram?
Do I got Instagram? I
Do I got Instagram?
Dude, I got Instagram.
I got a better idea for you. You know, June 1st, the Drew Star. Just come check it out. I'll tell you time.
No, but I'm trying to give you your hand, not your handles. I know we was talking about your handles. I'm talking about your Instagram.
Give me your social media piece.
handles, homie.
He didn't just say that. He tried to.
You want to take me out back already. You want to show me what he's working with. I'm a big guard. You don't want none of this.
He lead the witness. What's your social media back?
My Instagram is _ AB5 AYEBBEE, the number 5, and my Twitter is the same thing.
Cool deal, man. We appreciate you for coming out, man.
Y'all.
Definitely.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
No, he got a game coming up.
Yeah, he got a game. So
yeah, I gotta go win in Don's league. You know, Don never beat me in this league. Don't tell him I never told you that. Except for that picture y'all got, he won a championship with me. But that's it.
We get ready to get out of here. We'll take this break again. Thanks for listening in. The Sports Collective TV right here on Morris Media Live. Up next, more OVN classics. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right.
This segment was sponsored by P4E. Visit playingforeternity.com for more info and listen to their selected games live broadcast on Sports Collective Radio. AskElia.com. Media marketing experts here to help you grow your business into the next level and boost your sales. Visit us to learn more. AskElia.com.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh, man, that shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasm, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. You know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man.
There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org.
All right, welcome back to Sports Collective TV. I'm your host, moderator Farhan, aka WDC. You want information about sickle cell trait? WDCONSCT.org. I got all the information for you out there. Same on Instagram at WDC Radio. You just missed out on the Chasing Hoop Dreams, so you got to go back and catch that on the show link once we post it on the social media platforms. Again, we're back to the OVN Classic conversation. This piece right here is to me the dialogue that we want to have when we was off camera, like when we started the show, right? Where we talking about, you know, the youth, and then you talk about the adult aspect of it, and how even before all of that, the relationships and the youth and growing up, like people don't really pay attention to understand the human being functions, right? Yeah. And you and I think, can have those conversations because we've been educated about them. We talk about those. I look at it like when you're a young child and that natural break in your parents happens from your mom to you and your mom and to you and your dad, and then you're the one from you and your peers, then you make these decisions about yourself, right? And then you make them at early ages between 2 and 5, but you talked about even out the birth, coming out of the womb, they start, but 2 to 5, 6 to 10, and then 10 to 14, 15, we make these decisions about ourselves. And a lot of times they get undiagnosed, they get looked over, and they don't really catch up to you until you get arrested, or until you get in some kind of trouble. The white community, they take their kids to the top doctor. They get diagnoses written down. So if something happens, oh no, Johnny's got a condition. You can't take him to jail. But we don't get that because that mental health piece for us is like, oh, don't talk about Uncle Johnny. We don't talk about him. Leave him alone. What do you want to say? Because this is the end result. This is the end result.
Yeah.
But how do we find the solution to this conversation now?
I think we have to go back once again. We talked about earlier about the birth. I think we have to go back about how the baby is actually coming out of the womb. We're not nurturing our kids. So our kids are growing up kind of like you look at like we spoke earlier. We look at the lion and the zebra, right? The zebra has to come out and learn how to walk immediately. It can't lay there and all this other stuff, and the mother feed it like they do the birds in the bird nest and stuff like that. So our kids are coming out. They're taken away from the mother immediately. Other women, I want to say white women, they have the opportunity to breastfeed their kids and nurture their kids and sing to the kids. So the kids is gaining a self of love automatically coming out of the womb. Matter of fact, in the womb. They walk around singing to them and all this other stuff. Our homes are broken. Most of our men are in prison, gang banging. Of course, the trickle down from us learning how not to be in the household. Our women are stressed out. They're working. I have women that work in my office that's 9 months pregnant. They still have to work, so they can't sing to the kid. They're stressed out. So
all that goes to the baby.
Goes right to the baby. Of course, all of the hormones that secretes into the organs, into the heart, the liver, the spleen, everything. The baby is getting all of these hormones. So the baby is coming out already with a mindset of trauma.
Confusion.
Trauma.
A lot of confusion.
It's trauma. And then when you talk about the diagnosis, why do our kids have to be diagnosed with some type of mental illness when the diagnosis that the kid is just traumatized at the end of the day?
Yeah. We had talked earlier about like the second generation being chemical dependent in regards to just drugs in our community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I said to you as a solution, because we always talk about the problem. It's like how we can talk about problem. But the solution is how do we change that and where do we start at? And we had talked about the age of 8.
Yeah.
And why do you choose that age?
Well, we talked about the age of 8, and then we went back to the baby stage, of course, into the infant stage, and then the stages of life, right? You got the cub, and it grows into the lion. So we're missing that growth stage, that baby stage into the kid stage, into the adolescent stage, and to the adult stage. So I think we have to go back to the ages of 8, maybe. That's when when I was coming up, my mind was pretty much made up at the age of 12, what I wanted to do as far as being in the gang life, right? Mm-hmm. So at the age of 8, 9, 10, at the age of 10, I was already shot at the age of 10. So if we can go back to the age of 8, when we can remember things, then we put the things that we need to put into our child's brain at that time. The brain is smooth. The brain grows, it grows the grooves as the kid grows. So we need to, as the kid grow, put those grooves in that brain that's talking about our culture. Put the grooves in the brain that's talking about.
And this is what's wild is because the perception interpretation of a child is so strong and powerful that if you don't think that you need to talk to that child or explain something to that, that child will make it up in his mind of what I got to make up to survive this conversation. Who do I need to be to survive this? And that becomes ingrained into your decision making process.
Yeah. I've sat in houses
at 8
to where I deal with different people from different nationalities and different cultures, and the kids come home at age 10, I want to say, hey, son, how was your day? What were your successes? What were your challenges? And how do you overcome those challenges? Then you're challenging the kid's mind. Now he's telling you his successes, his challenges, or he or she, or how she actually overcame those challenges. It's a challenge. And it's a voice, not to control. I'm sorry. It's a voice. So we're telling our kids, shut up.
Go wash dishes. Go do your homework.
Shutting them down.
Yeah, and it's a lot of shutdown. And I go back to my AAU days of just having, kids in high school, and they get this information.
Yeah.
Information. This is what it's going to take. 10th grade.
10th grade.
Information. This is what you need to go. SATs and ACTs and all the stuff you need to do. And it never come out the backpack for that very same reason, because the parent is not interacting with the kid or having dinner with them, finding out what's going on at school. Did you turn in homework? What subjects you pour in? Did you get that packet for college? What colleges have you picked out?
But that's passed on from gender, because now you got to look at that parent's parents. How did they grow up in their environment?
Mm-hmm.
And if that environment was the same as their being as their parent, then the cycle is going to continue. My abandonment issue came out of my mom having to work because of the latchkey kid syndrome that went on in 1978. That I made up in my mind that I couldn't trust my mother because she was leaving me, but then I had to be responsible. That was stuff that I made up as an 8-year-old that I didn't figure out till I was 40. So at 32 years, I had this thing about my mom that I just can't be connected to her for 32 years. And then we had the talk after I discovered it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was that? I had to go to work.
Yeah.
It was 1970. Like, all these things. And then she's going to say, why didn't you ask? Mom, I was 8, Mom. I didn't know. But I had already made a decision at 8, which was an abandonment issue that I still live with today at 49, but at 40 I discovered it and I've been able to work through it. But those are the things that every person in this room and listening, you have your version of that. Yeah. And it's a human being function that we got to manage.
Yeah, me coming from my family come from the South, and my family is half partially Native and born on a reservation in Oklahoma. So my mom and my aunties and my grandmother, great grandmother, and them had to go through rape and rape and rape and rape. Still today, me and my mother don't hug. And I had to, when I went to college, I had to figure it out in psychology. She's disconnected from men. But at the same time, I've been damaged because I don't hug. Learn behavior, right? So going back to me working with the youth in the community and giving the family, the mother, the contract. Here, Mom, could you sign right there? And me looking at her, look at the contract, look at me, and then she hurry up and sign it. No, Mom, did you read it? And I know automatically if they can read or write or not. So how do you expect the kids to do their homework if the parents can't teach them how to do their homework? You learn at home. You don't learn at school. You know what I mean? So this is one of the issues that we have.
At school, you just look at the other person's test.
I don't want to.
What you got on?
I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave him out.
No, but before you bring him on, we could just bring this because we got some more guests in. Let me get the hand up
save it.
Say that
yeah, because he's been sitting here. You've heard conversations. What does OVN Classic mean to you?
Don't be reading that.
No, I'm not reading that.
Come from the heart.
No, this come from the heart. Well, Dwayne, I don't know everybody that's involved in it. I know Dwayne personally because when I first came home from prison, he had a big impact in my life, helping me make a transition back into society. So I look at it as, these youngsters nowadays, they hard to communicate with. And sports is a way for everybody to communicate. Different races communicate through sports. Yes. Yeah, there you go, sports and music. And what it's designed to do is to be able to, people that went through adversities as a youth and kind of know better now, don't want to see these youth go through the same path they went through, they're able to communicate through them through this basketball league.
And with that being said, I got to contest to that because when you're dealing with inner city youth, as you know, just being difficult. But sports have rules. So if you step out of bounds, the ball got out of the way. So that means you got to transition now. You got to turn to defense mode. You ain't in offense no more. So it's like, my question is that you came from out of prison to what was the basic need that you need what was the basic needs you really, really need in your transition that you could help other men?
I did 28 years, so I needed a lot. And but you mentioned earlier, naturally you need clothes, you need food, you need some type of transportation, and I'm here representing Fair Chance Project. They was able to provide those things with me. Dwayne provided me with transportation. And then you also need you need that support, because I was traumatized and didn't even realize I was traumatized.
Take the word support and expand on that. Like, what support? What specifically did you need?
Okay, I'm going to give you something specifically, a group that I run, which is called Life Changers.
Okay.
And it's a 12-week workshop, and you deal with issues as far as being, I was antisociable. I needed support with that. I was, I got to look a little bit.
Go ahead, look at it. Don't worry about it. Go ahead and look at your list.
No, but I run it, so I know it by heart. I'm just not going in chronological order.
Don't go in no order. Just say it naturally.
Self-destructive behaviors.
Okay.
Gang ties. Loyalty. See, one thing I learned about, and not just gangs, that's anything. It becomes an addiction. Like people out there who be selling drugs and stuff, that become an addiction to get money. Just like using the drugs, it's the same thing with gang banging. That attention, that fame, and everything you get that's involved in that becomes addictive. And even I'm 56 years old, and I still see myself kind of driving by and seeing out there. I remember that. I remember that because, I'm in what you call that, remission. I'm in remission. And the brother know what I'm talking about. Because we don't live the same life.
I did time, and I think once again when we talk about going back to the roots. Now, 1844, a law, a law that states if the police drive past and ask the brother, "Do you have a job?" and he say no, he automatically go to prison. It's a law. So the name gang was given to us officially in 1865, Jim Crow laws. So now we're demonizing ourselves. 2 or more brothers in a group is considered a gang. So now we're demonizing ourselves, saying I'm a gang banger, I'm this and I'm that, and they're terrible and they're bad. But this name was actually given to us. So how do we change the narrative on that? How do we change the narrative?
Because we talked about that. Like, he was saying, look, he's so of an age now, he go back to community where he remembers something. And we was going back into that whole, there's people's lives been lost.
Lives have been lost.
And then I think the other young man mentioned that now you got these communities that are kind of interlinked based on relationships.
Yes.
My cousin lives over here on this side, but my uncle live on this side, and now it's turned into the families is killing families.
So that's why I go back to the roots of things. When you talk about the roots, I go back to historical perspective. So you're talking about 6 months after the American Constitution was written, they had a petition, thousands of petitions written by the slaves. Now they said we couldn't read or write, right? But these petitions prove that we can read or write. So if we go all the way back, were we actually who they say we are?
Yeah.
Or did we turn into this who they say we are? So going back to the roots of the gang banging, you want to go back to the Black Panther era. Crips, Community Restoration and Progress. That's what they were. So now we've turned that into something else because of going back to the chemical dependency, the drugs and the liquor coming into the community, and we had to survive. But the way you survive we survived off one another. Yeah. That goes back to psychology. B.F. Skinner put a whole bunch of rats in a tank and made them survive. And the way they survived, they ate off each other. So that's the same thing that's going with us. This is the
mentality.
This is a plan to get us in this mind state. So how do we come out of it? We have to go back to the roots.
So we gonna have to take a break because I got to play this. We got some sports highlights. This is going to continue next Monday, all month. Next Monday, all the way up until the event takes place. May 31st. I got 6 minutes. 31st. Okay, we got 6 minutes. So I'm going to play the sports highlights, and then we're going to come back and we're going to wrap up the show.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah, at the end of the show, we're going to wrap this up. So we're going to take a break. This is our sports analyst, Double R. He's going to give you some highlights from this past weekend. So listen to this, and then we'll be right back. Sports Collective
this
TV.
This is what we do.
That's how it goes down.
Los Angeles,
how it goes down.
The Consortium of Health and Military Performance, also known as CHAMP, of the Uniformed Services University of Health and Science, known as USUHS, is conducting a study to understand a possible genetic link between sickle cell trait, known as SCT, and exercise-related events, known as EREs, such as exertional rhabdomyolysis, muscle damage, heat stroke, and or collapse. We are inviting African American men and women with sickle cell trait and their family members to participate. Participating in the study will require you to complete a health history questionnaire, a form authorizing our study physician to gather health information from you and your healthcare provider.
This week it's been pretty crazy as well. We start off this week with the Kentucky Derby, where it was pouring down rain. The big name Maximum Security was expected to win. He did cross the finish line first. However, he did not win the championship due to getting disqualified by a lane violation, which is the first time this has ever happened in Kentucky Derby history. Country House walks away with the victory, and all because of a lane violation. Talking about a dude who knows a little something about violations, Brock Lesnar has decided that he is retired. This is according to Dana White. With that said, who's Cormier going to face? Cormier is going to face Miocic, and that will be on August 17th right here in our own backyard in the Honda Center in Anaheim, and they're going to absolutely crush it. Speaking of crushing, oh my God, the Carolina Hurricanes are at it again as they crush the Islanders, and they're going to the Eastern Finals as they sweep New York, and they will face either the Bruins or the Columbus Blue Jackets as they battle out for East supremacy. And you want to talk about battling. Oh, what a battle it was on Saturday the 4th as Canelo outlasted Jacobs in 12 hard-fought rounds, and they put on an amazing show. And an amazing show was going on in Monterrey in Mexico as the Astros destroyed the Angels. But there was still almost history as Albert Pujols is only 1 RBI away from the big 2,000 RBIs. You want to talk about someone who knows a little something about history? Patrick Mahomes made all kinds of history last year, and now he's on the cover of Madden 2020. Uh-oh, this isn't good. Everybody who's been on the Madden cover so far has been cursed, and something has happened. Please don't let that happen, and please let this quarterback stay intact. Talking about quarterback staying intact, this guy's going to have to stay intact if he wants to be in charge of Miami. Talking about Josh Rosen. People are comparing Josh Rosen's move to Miami to the move Favre made from the Falcons to the Packers, and they're comparing him, will he be the Favre of Miami? Me, personally, I think he's going to have to prove it. A guy who proved on the court years ago, and now he's trying to prove it on the bench. Tyronn Lue is back in LA as he is the new coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. He's back. Speaking of back, Vince Carter has decided one more year, if not more. Coming back for one more year, this guy is still an amazing athlete, but to some others, he's probably still going to have to prove that he still got it. And you want to know who has to prove things? The Houston Rockets, as they need to prove that they can finally dethrone the mighty Warriors and all the conspiracy and everything that comes with it.
The Consortium of Health and Military
Double
Performance.
R, man, thank you, man, for that broadcast, man. We appreciate you for tuning in and helping us out. Again, this is Sports Collective TV. Check us out on the social media at Sports Collective Media, Facebook and Instagram. We're going to wrap this up. We got a couple more things we want to share. You want to talk about that real quick before we get out of here?
So this is the BT Rock. It's presented by Brothers Taking Responsibility for Our Community. They're going to do a 5th annual Back to School affair. It's on 62nd and San Pedro on August 10th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And you can get more information.
Say the name of that again?
BT Rock.
Say the full name, though.
Brothers Taking Responsibility of Our Community.
Dang,
so they're taking
I
responsibility.
love that.
That's strong.
Do you hear that?
Yeah. The body is a community. So not only taking back responsibility of self, but the environment as well.
Do you? And I learned this only 9 years ago. If everybody took responsibility for their own actions, we wouldn't have no problems.
Yes.
If they just did that part, if every person just did that part
accountability
alone,
is hard work.
It's so hard. But if everybody just learned and be that right there, there's no issues.
Yeah, community within self.
So we out of here.
We
right?
out of here.
So,
yes.
I appreciate you, brothers, man. Appreciate my boy Dwayne. Oh, but we gonna be selling tickets to the Sparks game.
Oh yeah.
On the May 29th. We got an hour on the wood, right? Got an hour on the wood as a fundraiser promotion.
Sports Collective on the play-by-play.
And we're gonna be.
So we're gonna be in there calling the games.
Yeah, so we want 2 hours.
We want 2 hours. Okay.
We want to make a really good impact. So Christine and the Sparks, if y'all listening, come on, man. And prayers out there to just get us on the floor a little longer so we can make a bigger impact in this community.
God willing.
All right. Shout us out. What's the count? Sports Collective TV.